Good to be back live.
Apparently, we're going live again.
We are live.
Just because we can. Just because we can. Because.
We can.
We can. And we will be sharing. And we'll be sharing.
And if you're new to the channel, which a lot of you are, we talk about important subjects. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
This is going to be a good conversation, though.
I do believe you are right. So if you guys can do us a favor and give it a little share so we can get started, get rolling. Oh boy, and I love these little what do they call them? When you got to like click on the squares, the crosswalks and the traffic lights to verify you're really human, and then they give you 15 of them in a row.
You gotta love it, though, right?
Oh my God! Like I'm on number 4 now. Asked me to verify it, and then finally it let me in. I've had some that I sat there and did them over and over and over. It never let me in, and I'm like, dude, this is getting ridiculous. Okay. All right.
I'm still sharing.
Welcome, Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Jessica.
Be with you shortly.
Glad to have you along. Yes, this is an impromptu live video. Normally we take the summer off, but we kind of had some recent events that sparked our curiosity and discussion, and we're going to talk about some things tonight. So stay tuned.
Really, I just kind of out of the blue just showed up on Facebook, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that kind of sparked my curiosity more than anything else.
Why is Daniel posting on Facebook? Daniel never posts on Facebook. All right, there we go. Fabulous. We're good. I have shared it. I've shared it to
the only 2 live platforms I'm currently on.
Right. Well, we're here. We're back. All right.
It's good to be back on, to be honest with you. It's been a minute.
You heard of this Samson guy?
Who?
Samson?
No.
Samson? He's kind of new, up and coming rapper.
That brushes his teeth?
Well, he's kind of reminds me of like Tom McDonald and Eminem with the humor, with the politically charged type.
Our boy Tom, he dropped a new video today.
I think I've sent you a link.
Have you had a chance to watch it today?
Hey, welcome back.
Hey, how y'all doing?
To the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. And it's been a long time.
This is Daniel Wagner. I'm Anthony Trawick.
I'm Daniel Wagner.
Are you a little rusty right now?
I'm a little rusty, which, I wasn't expecting to do a show tonight. I was actually just going to be doing more construction work on the addition that I'm working on. But I seen a post that we'll get into the details later. There was a post made on Facebook, and I had a moment. I'm like, this is kind of pissing me off, and I ended up ranting a little bit on a post, and I posted on Facebook, and I've been thinking about coming back to Facebook anyway for various reasons. We'll get into that on later episodes. But Anthony sees the post come up, and then you're thinking what? What were you thinking?
I was thinking some of that might have kind of not really triggered me, but it kind of really sparked a situation that I'm currently going through, not necessarily pertaining to drugs and alcohol as a form of sobriety, but more so just an addiction that I had for so many years.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I was just kind of, whoa, Daniel made a post. At first, I thought I was on the wrong social media app because we're more active over on Minds.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually backed out, and I'm like, I was on Facebook, which you haven't been on there here lately. So, but yeah, so I was reading it, and then some of the things that were highlighted, it kind of makes you confront some of the things that you might have done, or you might have a little bit of a similar situation that you've gone through, and it kind of made me feel like this wasn't really targeted towards me, but I kind of had that thought process of like, I was that person that liked that post too. I was that person who for 23 years dealt with an addiction such as nicotine when it comes to smoking.
Well,
because I recently had given up smoking. And
we will get into the details of all that.
Oh, yeah.
Right after this.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind Show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your hosts battle the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
All right, just get to the point, assholes, is what Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no. So
I guess the
welcome
best,
back.
Yeah, I guess the best thing to do to kick this thing off.
We are rusty.
Before we bore everybody to tears for 30 minutes with no actual content. Probably the best thing to do would be for me to read the post, so that those who don't
Let's
follow
jump into it. Yeah.
So those who don't follow me on Facebook kind of know what it was about, and
Yep.
and then we'll
dive right into this.
We'll jump right into that. So I'm going to read it off of Minds because I don't want to give Facebook any more airtime than necessary.
You gave it enough airtime with your post.
Yeah. So. It had to do with. I'll explain that in a minute. Let me just read the post so we can just get those same raw emotions that everybody else got to experience when I come out of the blue and post this thing. So it goes like this. I don't mean to be insensitive, but I am so tired of seeing these I beat addiction stories, and everyone's in the comments like, "I'm so proud of you. You're so strong. That's amazing." I'm over here like, congratulations. You managed to pull your head out of your ass and achieve the bare minimum to be societally acceptable. You managed to control your urges. Now what? Nobody asks why these stories are so numerous. Are we ever going to actually solve the problem? Like, how about parents stop being total self-absorbed jackwads, fucking your kids up to the point they feel the need to self-medicate your bullshit away? Like, how about women stop sleeping around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, completely destroying your sexual market value and ending up with stepdaddies that are 32 times more, yes, I said times, more likely to diddle your kiddles. This would traumatize anyone into a bad meth habit. How about completely legalizing all of these substances, bringing the practice out of the shadows, allowing people to actually get the help they need, minus the social and legal stigma that currently accompanies drug use? How about we learn how to form healthy boundaries and quit enabling problematic behavior? Tough love does work. Cut them off, assholes. Is the bar in society really so low that we give these participation trophies for not doing something? Like, how about we stop infantilizing addicts as well as single moms, don't even get me started on single moms, acting like they're so stunning and brave for achieving literally nothing, contributing absolutely nothing. The people in this comments section cheering on these former addicts are the most guilty. Where were they when your friend or family member was in the middle of their drug-induced getaway vacation? If you click that little heart on the I'm 30 Days Sober post, I gotta ask, where the fuck were you when they were struggling with their addiction in the whirlwind of demons they were battling? Did you click it for them or did you click it for yourself? Yes, overcoming addiction is a tough struggle and worth the self-pride that comes with it. But at some point, we gotta wonder as a society, why is this story so common? So... When you saw
yeah, go ahead.
It's a lot. There's a lot of points hit there, and I know there's many different tangents we can go on. So when you saw that, what was your first initial reaction?
I knew who this was about.
Okay, so just to fill in the audience on this, yeah, it's
because you kind of have to add the detail too.
Yeah,
for them to understand, we're not just talking in general of everyone.
Right. Well, I mean, so
to be clear,
based on people's feedback on this post so far, I do want to point out that this is not necessarily a strike against the individual. Okay, this is more of an alternative, an alternative perspective, a 30,000-foot view of what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we keep seeing these things repeat? And so my oldest daughter has been struggling with addiction lately. Drugs out here in the county that I live in are notoriously bad.
Yeah.
It's notoriously bad. So it's all in the schools, and it's gotten ridiculous. You get to hanging out with the wrong people, and next thing you know, I miss my daughter. I haven't really gotten to know my daughter over the last few years. I've missed a ton of milestones. I'm a grandfather, and I didn't get to experience that the way that one should. I've seen my granddaughter once. There's so many bad decisions that go with that. Well, recently, she has gone through rehab, and she's just made it out. She's 30 days sober, or 30-something now at this point, and she made a post on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And when I see this post on Facebook, I notice, oh my God, there's 77 people that have reacted to this, liked it, hearted it, whatever. 35 comments about, hey, congratulations, I'm so proud of you, and that kind of thing. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is actually what triggered or caused me to
Make that
inspired this post.
Right.
Is like, okay, where were you assholes this entire time that she was struggling with all this when the family's going through all this issue? Never once did anybody reach out to me and say, hey, how are you doing? I mean, I'm not saying nobody, but the vast majority of people that are reacting to that post did not. I haven't heard nothing from them until all of a sudden they're proud of their friend or their
Who have you heard from?
I've heard from a very select few people.
Okay.
In regards to this, you're one of them. You frequently would check up and say, "Hey, how are you doing?"
Well, I'm also very close to the family, so
right, and it's like, and you know, some of the extended family, but not many, not really. It's just like it made me realize, okay, there's something severely missing in this whole equation.
Okay.
And I feel like I hit on a number of issues. Obviously, it's a complicated issue. It's very complex. I didn't hit on everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I was going to hit on everything in a short, punchy little Facebook rant.
Well, I mean, would you agree that your post came off very abrasive, where it could be
Yes.
misinterpreted as you're generalizing everyone?
Right, and absolutely. Which, if you've followed along with my social media style of writing, a lot of it is kind of in your face, like, hey, dumbass.
It's hard for people to grasp
like,
sometimes.
Listen here,
Yeah.
here's the facts. Here's the real thing.
Right.
Here's what you need to be thinking about, or maybe even give it some thought, just a little. And it's like we've got all of this. I don't know. There's. I'm going to let you take it from here for a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I first read it, I actually kind of just stopped, and the first part of it, if you can kind of scroll back up, what kind of grabbed my attention.
Yeah.
Was, you pointing out for the people that had liked it or loved it or just reacted to it in some way, shape, or form. And now I didn't actually leave a comment saying that you're strong, you're amazing, and so forth. But I did react to it only because I knew of her situation. I've had conversations with your daughter about this.
And you would be one of the exceptions to the rule here of what's being talked about. Obviously.
Right. Well, yes. I mean,
Right.
Again, this wasn't, this was just a broad post. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, for me, I private messaged your daughter and I just said, I'm very proud of you. And that's all that was said. And she said, thank you.
Yeah.
And the difference between me and probably most is that I see you, especially when we do the show, on a weekly basis. I know a lot about you. I know your backstory. I know things that are going on, with your daughter, and I've seen the struggles that it's caused. But the riff, I guess you would say, between you and her.
Yeah.
And that's been heartbreaking to watch because I have a daughter myself. Mm-hmm. And, as someone who is recently going through the whole non-smoking kind of thing, when your daughter made that public post, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
I don't,
absolutely.
There's nothing to shake a stick at because addiction of any kind is hard to overcome. And that was something that I had mentioned in my, my comment to your post over on Facebook. And I think that I don't think that you were coming across as insensitive. I think that a lot of people that don't know you would be, would see it come across that way. Like you're just a straight up douchebag or an asshole.
No, I totally get it. And honestly, those are the kind of posts. It has a lot to do with my style of writing too. I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but I do write abrasively at times because it does get people talking.
Right.
And what was interesting is I was watching a conversation develop in the comment section, and it was like, yes, I've been sober for 10 years off of whatever my drug of choice was, but, I never felt the need to make it like this big public announcement thing. I'm not looking for the adulation that comes with...
But do you think, playing devil's advocate, do you think sometimes publicly coming out and stating that you're now sober, do you think that could potentially, encourage others who might be fighting some sort of an addiction in private? That can see someone. I mean, that's where I think sometimes social media can be skewed or misinterpreted based on the individual and how they see what has been posted. I took it as, because I know your daughter very well, I knew that this was a big milestone for her. I was very proud of her. I don't think she did it for clout or anything that, or to gloat that she's sober. I would hope that it's a personal pride thing for her that she was able to get over this hurdle for now.
So just if I had to put a percentage on it as far as who this post was about, I'd say it was maybe 10 to 15% was toward the person or people who post their announcements about being 30 days sober. It was probably 85% to 90% the people in the comments section that pissed me off.
Right.
It was that it almost come off to me as like this fake love, like we care about you so much, but yet, you know, when I hear things like, hey, tell Miranda she can just call me anytime, I'm like, motherfucker, you know how to get a hold of her, reach out to her.
Right.
Like just dumb shit like that. Like, why do I have to be your middleman to tell? Like, you know, if you see the struggle going on, you see this problem's going on, reach out to her, say, hey, if you need to talk, I'm here. Talk to me. What's going on? I mean,
well, sometimes you find yourself in a position where you don't know your boundaries. You don't know what's appropriate, what's not. You
in that
may
case,
not
I'm talking
want
like family mainly. Family knows.
Okay,
should know that they can talk.
Now
to
that you're being a little bit more open about who these people are, that starts to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But in your post, this is generalized.
Yeah, it's all general. It's not. Yeah, it's not every single person, every single time. I don't want to take anything away from people who have made it those 30 days and are proud of that. That's great. Mm-hmm. It has little to do with the individual.
But I'm just saying that your post doesn't come across that way.
I understand that. Yes, yes, you're absolutely right.
So that's why I even said in a comment, I thought, was this personal? Because I knew, knowing the situation, you know, this was personal, and I could tell it got your gears turning, because I know you well enough to know that when you see things like that in her comment section, I can see you getting kind of fired up about something like that. Yeah. And that's when I know you so well. I even text you. I said, "Are you good?"
Yeah, yeah, you did. So we have this has been an issue that's been bothering me for a little while, because I keep seeing and it's not. I'm still kind of trying to find my way around the issue in my mind.
Right.
Am I correct? Am I right? I would say most of this is correct, but am I 100% there? No, not at all. I'm still trying to figure this out. Case in point, I'm seeing a number of like tweets coming across my feed. Hey, I'm 1,362 days sober, like some very specific number like that, or something. And I'm just like, at what point do you start, you know, marking your kid's age in years rather than months?
Tom McDonald talks about it in his songs.
At what point are you going to move on from it and try? And now I could be a complete asshole and not understanding the addiction side of this.
Rita's been 2 years, and we celebrated that with her.
Right. So
I'm just trying to understand your thought process.
I am too. I'm still working through this myself, because I haven't had to deal with this before from, you know, somebody else close to me going through this. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, obviously. Nobody does. But this is just some of the thoughts that came to mind when I see these things. The kind of talking out of one side of your mouth and acting another way in terms of, you know, friends and family. They're supposed to be there for you. In terms of the society in general, you know, one of the issues I brought up was the fact that it's all illegal, and when you do the drugs, you have to keep it hidden. You can't. It's like this underground thing, and there's like, as far as getting the help you need, like, it's kind of, you know, you're getting the help you need, and it's there, but you're also kind of putting yourself in a position where you're admitting that I'm breaking the law, and, you know, because of that fact, you got jobs that'll do a background check. You know, they might show up that you have drug charges or what have you. Mm-hmm. Good luck getting a job. You know, there's a lot of people.
But that's well, we can kind of get into the nitty gritty of that. I mean, if you're constantly high on a substance and you're working around heavy machinery, I don't want you working for me, because the potential, you know, risk of hurting yourself is higher than, say, somebody who doesn't or isn't on a drug. I mean, there's so many probabilities here that you have to take into account. But I don't want to get off subject here. So for me, it was because you didn't mention family and friends. That's why I was just like, well, who is he talking about? But then as I kept keep reading, it was generalized. Yeah. So now I'm actually sitting down with you and talking to you. Do you think maybe you should have said family and friends, or do you feel as if that would have kind of triggered even more of a?
Well, that is the difference between a Facebook post rant that's kind of just coming as it comes, and a carefully edited book. If this was something, if this was an article,
okay, then was this driven by emotion?
Right.
Then?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think most things I do post are, you know, a little bit of logic, a little bit of emotion, a little bit of what's going on in my life versus what's going on around me.
Right.
if this was in a book and I've had a chance to discuss it with people, there might be certain things I would reword.
Right.
But then again, by wording them as such, how likely would you have been to call me up and say, hey, we need to talk about this. We need to do a show about this.
Well, you already knew I feel passionate about this conversation anyways, because what we had with Rita when we had her on the show twice. I hit you up because you text me the night before. I was already asleep.
Right.
And you just sent me a text and said, hey, you know, my daughter's been 37 days sober and she has a job interview in the morning.
Right.
I woke up the next morning and then I said, that's awesome. I forgot. I said, I hope she continues this path. And you said, I hope so too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to understand, when I get on social media and I see this long rant from you, something's transpired between the time I got the text from you to the time I saw that post.
Yeah, just
and I didn't
culmination of different thoughts and ideas, and just.
And I'm not saying you got to tell me or you got to seek approval of others to say, hey,
observations, just general thoughts. I mean, there's just so many different things that for me, it's the fact that we see this same story over and over and over.
Well, we discussed this with George Floyd.
It's like, Jesus, man. I mean, it's at what point do we start going like what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right.
It's like, at what point do we say, okay, maybe this method of solving the problem isn't actually working. Maybe there's some attention that needs to be called to the people that surround. I always look at. A lot of times these people tend to be isolated, or they tend to be hurt or traumatized, or something has happened, and there's no accountability for those who cause the issues in the first place, if that makes sense.
No, it does. You know, we had a discussion about George Floyd, and we were talking about illegal drugs being legal.
Yeah.
And had fentanyl been legal, would have, congested that much of that drug when the cops pulled up.
Right.
We've had conversations like this, and I'm not going to say I can understand what you're going through, because this is your daughter. She's struggling with an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And as for someone who's never been in that, situation, but I'm friends with people who have, that have gone through the addictions. I've gotten the late night phone calls and and people going through sobriety and things like this. So,
right.
For me, it's like, and of course, me quitting smoking is nowhere in comparison to quitting drugs, but it's still a form of a habit. It's an addiction of sorts, and we were talking about this earlier. And, I didn't publicly come right out and say that I was quitting smoking. You know what I'm saying? I had quit 2 weeks prior before I actually mentioned something on Facebook about it. Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of people were congratulating me and all this other stuff, but I took it a step further.
Yeah.
That I wanted to get healthier. Now, see, this is where with your daughter, I hope this trend kind of continues with her path going down sobriety, that she actually takes it a step further. Because the one thing I've noticed with people that kind of go through sobriety, they will relapse at some point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we combat, because right now we're living in a society where drugs are illegal. That's not going to change overnight. We know this.
Yep.
So we have to deal with the here and now. We have to deal with the fact that, there is this problem. And, people talk about a pandemic such as, COVID. We have a bigger pandemic, and that's, drugs. That's narcotics. Absolutely. And, and it's funny how one is not so much addressed as the other one is, and
which one's killing more people?
Right. And so this it doesn't necessarily kill you, but it destroys families.
So let me give you an example. There's actually on one part here, this one here, that's not what I meant to click. Let's go back. Nope. Damn, I'm all over the place.
Hey guys, we're a little rusty. It's only been 2 months since how long has it been? About a month and a half since we did a live show?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, there was this line here.
I need to sit up.
Where it says now what? That's the thing about when I'm addressing the individual and the now what. And I want to point out this example, which you said you're quitting smoking.
Yeah.
And quitting for the sake of quitting is not a recipe for success.
No.
Right. So it's about the now what. I would love to see, like, when people do these sobriety type announcements, what I think might be helpful for them and everybody else, I would say, just a thought, is, okay, also include in that the now what? What am I doing next to make sure I stay on this path? What are my next goals? What are my next things that I want to achieve?
Right.
Like, what's going to keep me moving in a positive direction and keeping that momentum flowing?
And the people you surround yourself with.
Right.
Right.
So, like, when you were telling me you quit smoking, and you're like, also, I quit energy drinks. I quit, and now I'm learning how. You said you're learning.
Next week, I am going to start a membership. I'm actually going to be taking up boxing.
Yeah.
I am going to be working one-on-one with a trainer to learn how to box over the next year.
So you've done two things.
To get in shape, to lose the weight.
Right. So you've done two things. Three things, really. You've quit, first of all.
Yep.
Which actually kind of accidentally rolled into quitting multiple things. But the second thing is you have a goal of what's next. You have the now what.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much was going to be in that 2 words of that entire post, but I think there's a lot there. Not only that, you not only have the now what, but you also have the why. I've got a daughter who I would like to be able to stay alive, a good long time.
Well, I didn't want to be on an oxygen tank because she's crossing the stage as she's graduating high school.
Right.
And she made a comment to me that she was, my daughter was always kind of hesitant and kind of like didn't want to ever tell her dad, hey, dad, smoking really bothers me. Can you stop doing it? Yep. She's mentioned it to others. Yeah. And others have come to me and said, hey, your daughter's kind of concerned. It's self-evaluation. It's like what I'm doing is not only impacting my health, but it's affecting others, such as what your daughter was doing. Right. What she was doing was affecting her health, her grandchild, and then those close.
Her child, yeah.
Her child.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said grandchild.
Yeah, I said your grandchild.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Anyways, but it affects those closest to you and those around you. And for me, it was like, okay, I didn't want this just to be, well, I quit smoking. This was my one goal, and that was it. Yeah. I wanted to actually improve my life, as such as you said, what's next? I stopped the energy drinks. And I next week I've got a meeting with the owner at the boxing facility, and we're going to discuss I'm going to be training 2 days a week, but I wanted to lose the weight. Weight has been an issue for me. Back when I had my medical problems with my liver, I was on a lot of antibiotics. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about taking a lot of antibiotics, you gain weight, or steroids. I'm sorry.
Steroids.
Steroids. Well, actually both. And if you go back and you watch just the videos from less than a year ago, I was like 140 something pounds. Right now, as I sit, I'm at 292. I said 142, didn't I? Or 242?
Yeah. Well, you just now said 140. I'm sitting there thinking, I don't think you were ever at 140.
No, 242. Okay. And then I shot all the way up. I got as high as 315 was the highest I've ever been. And then right now I'm at 292. Okay. So it's like I needed to get my weight in check. I'm 40 years old. I'm not getting any younger. I'd like to be around for those that are close to me. Right. I have a lot more energy. I'm doing a lot more. I've actually got my daughter into working out now. So the effects of what I'm doing wasn't just that I quit smoking. This was something that branched out into so many positive things. Mm-hmm. Just from my health standpoint, your lungs do rebuild themselves. And with your daughter, after she's been sober for so long, your body can, for the most part, you've done some damage, and I've done a lot of damage to my lungs, but, there's parts of her body that will start to rebuild. Right. that can. So she needs to understand that while she's still young and her body's able to really, fight things off, she can live a very healthy and productive life. And that's what needs to be next for her. And what needs to be next is that if she can't take care of herself, how is she going to take care of her daughter? How is she going to take care of other people? When you get up in the age and her mom gets up in age, is she going to be able to take care of you guys if she's strung out on drugs? No. Yeah. No, that's what needs to be next for her. But it's a mental game, and it's got to be something that when I decided to quit smoking, I sat alone with my thoughts. And it was weeks before I even quit. And I was like, how am I going to do this? This was just a self-conversation with me and thinking, okay, this is a habit I've got to break. How am I going to do this? What are what are the obstacles? Then I started reading the healthy long-term effects. After 20 years of not smoking, my lungs then go back to what they are of a non-smoker.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I want that.
That's achievable.
20 years from now.
That's achievable.
That puts me at 60. That puts me at a place to where I might be able to live until maybe I'm 80.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, because of the damage I've done for 23 years of smoking, I'm still at high risk for lung cancer. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad, but this was self-inflicted. And I can't be upset if I ever develop lung cancer or any other cardiovascular issues that I have later on in life, because this is what I've done.
Yeah.
And maybe what your daughter went through, if she does the research of what this has done to her body, maybe she can educate others, say, hey, don't do this. This is what you're going to do to your body. This is the long-term effects.
Yeah.
I had to be okay with the fact of knowing that cancer is a probable thing for me. And it's like...
Yeah, when you got to come face to face with that fact.
But I'm okay with that because I know that I did the damage. I'm the one responsible. I have to take personal accountability for it. Now, however, with that being said, I also gave myself to live a little bit longer. Then if I kept smoking, dude, I probably would have been dead by the age of 50. Energy drinks.
You think so?
Dude, I was a heavy smoker.
Yeah, I know those energy drinks ain't no joke.
Blood pressure going through the roof. I was telling you earlier, I have got a townhome, 2 stories. I get to the top of the stairs. I'm winded.
Yeah.
I was so winded. And I wouldn't tell nobody. I go to work and I'm working 12 hours, dude. By halfway through the shift, I'm struggling.
Wow.
Plus it's hot. And I'm like, I'm so tired of living this way. Now I've got an absurd amount of energy. And it's like, things improve. I don't have the smell of my clothes. I don't have the smell of my skin. I don't, this is good. And for your daughter, it's like, maybe if she ever watches this, she will see that the positive results of, now it's not smoking, but it is other drugs that are far, far worse and far severe. But maybe when you become clean, you'll start to see a difference. Hopefully she'll see a difference in her moods.
Certainly hope so.
Her skin. You do meth, it fucks you up, dude. It makes you...
Or whatever she was doing.
I don't know what it was, but yeah. I mean, it's just...
Do you want to hit some comments?
Yeah.
See what we got here?
We get to talking. Sorry, guys.
All right. So, where are we at? Oh, Krista says, I'm late. Missed the meat of everything. Well, the good news is you can watch it in a replay.
Yeah.
Or just rewind it and just ignore us from now on. Cora says, yes, especially in childhood, the brain literally changes its response pathways because of traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
Swamp Cleaner says, lack of pride and a loss of a sense of importance to maintain society has helped cause vice to spread. Assumes that all the things that were previously considered vices are now... this is a pretty serious topic. Rachel Lee says, I was going to say what Anthony just did. I had 10 years clean, and the only reason I share my story is because hopefully it will help someone else. I don't share it to get attention or congratulations. Yeah. I do wonder how many people do share their story for the congratulations. I don't know. I wouldn't want to put a percentage on it, but I would imagine there's a not insignificant portion of the people who are posting that are doing it just because they need that.
Out there.
Yeah, they need that attention. That's just a thing. This is what people do.
Yeah.
All right. Soon Anthony will be able to hold his own against Becky. You dog. And Becky said something earlier, but I can't find it. I was fired up, but decided against commenting, just being honest. That's her very nice diplomatic way of saying that I was really upset by your post, Daniel, and I chose to not comment.
We discussed it because what a lot of people don't understand is we tend to give the perspective of the male persuasion. Yeah. And when we do that, we talk about the faults of a woman.
Right.
We don't ever hold men accountable, and that's something that she was very bold in her comment that was in response to your thread.
Yeah, she would be absolutely 100% correct.
Right.
And part of that is because, men have been we've been talking about men's role in their deadbeat dads and whatnot for the last 2-3 decades now. Like societally speaking, we're very familiar with the role of men and their promiscuous behavior and the fact that they. I mean, it's the fact that nobody's talking about the women's role. It's the fact that single mothers are still like held up on a pedestal without being held responsible for the most part.
But I think what she was getting at is that, is maybe we should be a little bit more transparent when we discuss, rather than just one sex, discuss both, faults rather than just one side, which I get. But again, we're men. We discuss the other side of things. That
another reason for it for me.
Get.
Another reason for it for me is that you ever heard the old phrase that men propose, women dispose?
Oh yeah.
So there is something to be said the fact that women do hold basically all of the cards in terms of sexual access. The final decision typically tends to be the woman deciding yes or no. I mean, it's not uncommon for a woman to open up her DMs and it look like a fucking Oscar Mayer factory, Men, yes, they have some role in this. I'm not saying they don't. What I am saying is women do have a lot more role than what society currently gives them for the decisions that are made in terms of sexual access. But that's just a couple of reasons why I don't typically tend to hammer on that so much. We've already seen it in mainstream culture and shows where the dad's like the idiots all the time, and mom's super smart and the kids are like even smarter, like, dad, you're an idiot, da 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 da.
No, I guess it's always nice to get a female's perspective in the house,
Yeah.
And I think what fired her up was not only that, but as someone who has also struggled with an addiction herself, or addiction that she had years past, that she's never been openly public about either.
Right.
So, I think you hit a nerve with a lot of different people that have struggled with a lot of different things because the post was so generalized. Yeah. I think if it was posted in such a way, and I'm not telling you how to post, I'm just saying.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. If it was maybe narrowed down to just specific family and friends, that post would have been maybe perceived a little differently, if that kind of makes sense.
I would say any post I make, unless I call you out specifically, is kind of just a general overarching view. It's just a perspective.
Right.
Is it right or wrong? I don't know. I'm
not saying it's either right or wrong.
Yeah, I'm just drawing up, trying to bring up conversation, trying to basically post about what's on my mind,
Right.
I don't always have all the answers, of course. I'm
no.
just trying to, I'm still struggling with this myself, from the perspective of somebody whose close family member is dealing with this.
Okay.
I don't know the right way to handle it,
So we talked about a little bit about what's next for her. What's next for you and you and her? She's your daughter.
As far as our relationship, right now it's going to be a huge exercise in rebuilding trust. Right now, it's been one of those things you get lied to so many times that you're just like, okay, yeah, all right, you're probably lying again. I don't know. You're probably on drugs again. I don't know. You kind of.
But what is that first? What is that going to take for her to prove you otherwise?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know. Time, complete honesty, complete openness. Talk to me. Be there to.
Did you guys talk before in the past?
Yeah. We used to go out, hang out, and go on.
No, when she was going.
Dates,
talking about when she was going through her addiction, did you see her much? Did you guys do
much?
No,
I know. I didn't. She kind of just disappeared. Sometimes I couldn't find her. She doesn't know this, but I used to sit there. We could track her down, and I would drive past just to make sure she's still alive. We'd always be like listening in, making sure she's. We look for little signals and things like that to make sure she's still at least okay.
Yeah.
Still in the middle of a drug-addled, whatever, but, she's still alive at least.
I'll never forget the time I actually got introduced to what was going on when we were at the gas station.
Oh, down there at the Sonic?
Yeah. That was... I don't know. Do you want to share that story?
Nah. That's
So moving forward, I mean, I understand that it's going to take trust. Now, for her, where is she currently at? What's she doing now to maintain her sobriety, so to speak?
I'm going to apologize. I was reading comments. You guys have such great comments, and sorry. Ask me that again.
No, I just moving forward. I just kind of wondered, where is she at now? What is the next step, I guess, for her as far her, sobriety goes? Is
Well,
she going to be living at home?
Currently, she's living in a halfway house with 5 other people, and they have like weekly or biweekly meetings. I don't know all the specifics of the house. I went in and looked at it when I dropped her off, and everything seems to be okay. It looks like it's in good repair, and it's not, it's not like a dump, and it's part of a wider chapter, part of a wider organization, I guess. And as far as I know, she's working on getting a job. She's working on handling her business finally. She's really nervous about going to court over her daughter, about what's going to happen next. Yeah. She is interested in trying to get her daughter back, which is great. I would love to see her get herself established in a stable environment and be able to give that little girl the life that she deserves, Yeah. That little girl didn't do nothing to deserve, this.
Just the product
Fortunately,
of it.
she is, my granddaughter is currently in a place where she is being taken care of. Very well. The family has, they're a good Christian family. They got like 3 other kids, super clean house, very well designed, very, and very cool people. I spoke with them a couple times, and I can't wait to see what the next few weeks brings as far as this particular thread of my chaotic life.
Do you feel pretty optimistic that things are going to go different this time?
On an optimism scale, I tend to be a cup half full kind of guy anyway.
Right.
I'm sitting at about a 70% probably optimistic things are going to work out, if I had to give it a percentage.
So, okay.
It's a great question, by the way.
What's that?
Just what you just asked me. It was a great question.
Well, I mean, it's just...
Because I hadn't thought about it that way.
Well, the one thing...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just the one thing that you and I have discussed before. You are a very close to the chest person. You're not one to really... For you to talk about this, especially about your daughter on this platform, is probably the first time you've ever done this in the 5 years of the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had her permission to talk about it.
Yeah, I think we still would have done it, but it would have probably been in an anonymous way like we did before with other people.
Right.
But, you and I have had conversations about, the people we surround ourselves with, in our circles. And I kind of wonder what her circle is going to look like moving forward.
That's going to be a huge determining factor. Not only for people getting into these situations to begin with, as far as who you choose to surround yourself with, but for moving out of it and moving on and growing. It's going to be hugely vital that what do they say, that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I notice this about myself. I tend to mirror other people when I hang out with them. I tend to pick up some of their habits and some of their, even some of the inflections in tone. I tend to pick up. It's very subtle, but everybody
you
does
do it. I've seen you do it.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, but it's just when you hang around somebody so much, you tend to
like
start
a little
picking
bit
up
of
that
a
stuff.
chameleon,
Yeah, which I mean that's a whole nother conversation we've had before, but it's like if she is not very careful and very selective about who she starts to that social circle that she starts to build, I feel like there's a very good chance she ends up right back where she was. At some point, she's going to have to start learning to trust her current circle. I say that. Well, I want her to trust me. You've known me long enough. I'm usually a pretty damn good judge of character with somebody. It's not uncommon for me to judge somebody in about 15 seconds, and I know exactly what kind of person you are. I may take a while to figure out why my gut said this guy's crap,
right.
But they'll eventually show themselves. But if she would take the time to trust me and run her friends by, if she's not sure how to build those relationships or sure how to pick good people, talk to me. I'll ask some questions and we'll kind of figure it out. Maybe introduce them to me. I can sniff somebody out pretty quick. And if you trust me,
have her run them by us.
Yeah, bring them on for the show.
Yeah.
But if you actually learn to trust the good people in your life, then and you actually lean on their expertise and their advice. I think people would actually do a lot better in general. I mean, this is I see this all the time. People they'll surround themselves with decent people. The people like, hey, that guy you're dating, he's a total jackass. Oh, I just ignore my friends. Like, you really don't care about your friends that much if you're just going to ignore their advice, you know?
Right.
So you got to people need to learn to lean on that social circle, handpick it, carefully select it, and then learn to trust it, you know?
Yeah. So what is this whole situation? What have you learned from what she's gone through?
Oh, good Lord. I've learned a lot about the legal system and drugs. And the
No, I
court
mean,
system.
just the relationship between you and her as far as, I mean, I know trust is a factor, but, you know, what would you like to see? Let me rephrase this. What would you like to see between you and your daughter happen from all of this now that she's gone so many days sober?
What would I like to see as far as what our future relationship looks like?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see, I'd like to take more time to go out on the little dates that we used to go on, you know, just her.
So you
and
kind of
me.
miss those?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we hang out and just, it's fun. I enjoy her company. Like, she is a wonderful person to hang around. She's hilarious. She's got, you know, she's a very smart girl. She's, you know, funny. It's a great time, you know, just being around her. You know, I've been in her life since she was 11 months old, and I met her at my first job at Wendy's, and I brought out some chicken nuggets, and I shared a box of chicken nuggets with this little 11-month-old baby, you know.
Wow.
This is when I was first starting to date her mom, you know, and it's like I always joke around and say that I fell in love with her before I fell in love with her mom, you know.
Aw.
And there's some truth to that, because, you know, kids she was just a cute little baby, you know. It's like I like kids. I always have.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, I want to see that kind of relationship come back, where I'm not in the back of my mind going, oh God, is she doing that shit again? Oh God, is she hanging out with the right people? You know, I hate having that thing in the back of my throat nipping at me all the time, you know? But
Yeah, I was kind of curious, because it just kind of sounds like you just kind of want things the way they were or once were.
well, I mean, I would like to be able to be a person in her life that she counts on. Not when things are super, super desperate and she has no other option.
Yeah.
You know,
It kinda-
I have a lot to offer, and I like helping people. I love helping my kids and teaching them and coaching them. And, you know, if you need help, you know, figuring out a budget that you need, or if you need help fixing something, or you know, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know, if I can't help you, I'm sure I know somebody who can, and we'll figure it out. You know,
You know, it's interesting because you mentioned that you fell in love with her at 11 months old.
Yeah.
Now that she has a daughter of her own,
who's about that same age. It's almost her birthday.
and
1
you
year old.
haven't met her but one time. So, do you? I mean,
Part of that-
how
part
has
of-
that
part of
made
that-
you feel?
Part of that's honestly my fault. That I could have met her more, I'm sure,
Why haven't you?
because there's some part of me that I didn't feel like that little girl was ever going to be a part of our lives. That I felt like they had fucked it up so bad, her and her baby daddy, as they call it nowadays. They'd fucked it up so bad. There was just no way that, you know, that kid was going to end up getting in the system or put up for adoption or whatever. We'd never see her again. So I didn't want to get attached. I still am very hesitant to get attached. I
don't do
get
that.
very attached.
No, I know you do, but it's just.
It's just, and again, I could be completely wrong about this, but that's just kind of just where my mind's
But
at.
is it something you're craving, is to have that
And-
relationship
and
with
I-
your granddaughter?
No, not yet. And I don't understand why.
Are you afraid of being hurt?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's okay to be vulnerable.
Well, I know that. I would say I don't know. I really don't know. A lot of it was, you know, when you're, it's your first grandkid. You know, there's like a certain set of things that are supposed to go with that. You
But
know,
I don't want you to miss so much time that you're missing out on milestones for your granddaughter.
I'm going to her birthday party. It's coming up. I'm going to her birthday party.
I have yet to meet
This
her,
is-
and I've been close to this family.
This
I
is going
kind
to
of
be
feel like an uncle
interesting.
sometimes.
Just
know?
don't be a creepy uncle. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. All right. Well, I want to hit up a few more comments. And I think I've about talked about as much as we can talk about it, unless you had some other things you wanted to hit.
No, I just
specifics on the
no.
naughty post. Anyway, Rebecca says, comments section right here. There we are. I love that. That is so cool. Puddin says, oh, never mind. That's okay. Rebecca says, I am going to have to watch in entirety later. I wish whomever this is the best of luck. I hate to throw out an Al-Anon cliche, but whatever happens, you didn't cause it, can't cure it or control it. Well, I can have some damn influence over it, I'm sure. Becky says, I'm glad I never got sniffed. Ooh. Wait, what did we say that makes sense? Am I missing something? Did I miss something?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess if she needs to get sniffed, we'll make it happen. Cora says, I hate having that thing in the back of my throat nipping at me, too. Yeah, that is something else. Something else for sure. All right, so, yeah, if you have any thoughts on today's topic and would like to share them, please, by all means, share them with your friends. Don't talk to me. I don't care. Just kidding.
No, but just a quick just a quick update. We've enjoyed having the summer off, and we were talking about going back to the program after or the second week of August, but then we've also discussed that we're probably going to cut back on the live shows, and we're going to focus more probably on doing pre-records
and skits, because skits are
and
fun.
And
skits are so much fun.
We're also finding that because right now that we don't have the audience size, it did not make any sense for us to put forth the money towards doing the live streams.
Yeah, paying for the infrastructure gets kind of pricey when you don't have the support.
So until we can build up more of an audience, you guys probably won't see us nearly as much on the live show. We've done away with not Discord. We've done away with the Zoom calls.
Zoom, yeah.
This is freeing us up to be able to build that audience that we want. Now, what we have found is that reaction videos have seemed to gain the subscribers we need, but it also kind of correlates to the subjects that we discuss on the show.
Right.
So we've discussed going that route to gain more subscribers, and then maybe later on down the line, we may reintroduce the live show and possibly the Zoom calls.
Well, we'll still do live shows, but what we're talking about is the standard weekly on-time live shows. We're going to make it a little more random when things pop up in your feed. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We're going to do it when we're feeling inspired. We're going to do it when we feel like I make a post on Facebook and Anthony's like, we need to fucking talk about this right now.
Well, it's just
these are the best conversations, though. The ones
right,
that are more,
they are. This is real life shit. This isn't. We can talk politics all day long, but here's the thing, though. With politics, everybody else is discussing it. We always wanted to branch out and to discuss things that can give an alternate solution, or maybe something that nobody else has ever thought of. That's part of the title of our show, is Unframe of Mind. And, we can sit here all day long and talk about how Biden's fucking up the U.S. right now, but is that really, is what we're discussing about Biden, is it going to change your thought process? Probably not.
Yeah. Is it going to help you in your personal relationships and improve your life? Probably not.
We want to focus more on what can actually change your life and benefit from things that we discuss, such as addictions
that you might actually have some control over.
Right. And so maybe hearing stories of others or personal stories from us, such as what you were going through, might have more of an impact than just talking politics. This is what we love. This is what we love to do. So I'm looking forward to this.
And motherfuckers, if you comment on somebody's post about how they've been 30 days sober and you don't at least call them up and talk to them and ask them how they've been and get do more, people, do more. If you're going to show your support, be real about it. Yeah. That pissed me off so bad. Be real about it. That's all I'm asking. Yeah. Anyway, y'all been watching the Unframe of Mind show. This has been yet another uncomfortable conversation without a condom. I've been your host, Daniel Wagner.
Anthony Trout.
And we will see you next time.
On the flip side. See ya.